fun.
Do we start 7 miles out and do like coming?
Do you want a Lady and the Tramp, a 7 mile line of blow? That is the most.
Our noses
That's
meet.
just the most
Aww.
fucking romantic thing that I've ever heard in my entire life.
Welcome back to Show Me Yours with Jackie and Johnny. I'm Jackie Agnew.
I'm Johnny DeVito.
And thank you so much for joining us again. I think we're in a better space mentally this week.
Speak for yourself, Jackie. I was fucking hot last week, and I'm coming in hot again this week.
Okay. Well, just before we get to that,
yes,
this week, we're talking about an album that most of you have probably heard of before. I was feeling kind of bad because the last album I brought in was not good, and I knew it wasn't good when I brought it in, but I brought it anyways.
Fair enough.
Because I thought it would be an interesting discussion. I think it was.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this week I decided, you know what? I am going to bring in an album that is not only widely perceived as one of the greatest albums of all time, but it's also one of my favorite records. So we're going to be talking about Rumours by Fleetwood Mac.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is like I didn't, I guess I grew up on Fleetwood Mac. My mom is a Caucasian woman and I grew up in the woods.
Right.
So I think like, never like The Chain and if you would have told me that this is Fleetwood Mac's greatest hits, I'd fucking believe you. Like it's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, like
good.
Save for a few other big hits they had, I would say that this album definitely has most of their greatest hits. But before we delve into that, we have a few things that we're gonna discuss first. So if you want to take us away.
First, I just want to talk about any pussy on a computer that wants to like try to commit crime. You know what I mean? Like cyber crime is bullshit. For the listener today, I was hacked. And I'm not very happy about it. This happened. I was like maybe 30 minutes from the end of my day at work.
Yeah.
Right? So like, I mean, I wasn't going to do anything with that 30 minutes. I was just trying to coast to the end of the day. It's Friday. You know, we like to shoot on a Friday. We're going to have some fun, right? So I know that within like an hour, I'm going to come home, I'm going to take a nap, I'm going to get ready for the show. It's no big deal. But then some fuck goes into my phone and we'll get to the specifics of the whole hack later. But what had happened was all of my friends and my family and everybody that I'm close to, it was just bombarded, you know what I mean, with these links.
Yes.
To click on these links.
Yes.
You know what I mean? To only what I can only assume is to like is to defraud, to disenfranchise, you know what I mean, is to take down the people that I love, and I won't fucking stand for that. Jack, you know I was robbed about 2 years ago, right?
Yes.
I was beaten up, I had some knives in my face, right? When you tell me to run that shit, okay, like run that shit. Not the best day. You know what I mean? Not even top 5, I would say, of my life, right?
Okay.
But I appreciate that kind of crime more than some fuck on a computer.
Cybercrime?
Who the fuck are you? Right? Like you come in and like the only for me is that like I just don't like to be I mean, I guess I don't know, I like to be on my phone, but I don't like to communicate with people, right?
Yes.
And immediately do you know how long it took me to cut off ties with some of these fucking people? I'm just kidding. That wasn't even the worst. It was shitty because the people that I care about are, you know, now fucking cyber fucking terrorists are coming after them. And I look on my on the app that I was being hacked on, and it said that the last time just a few minutes ago I was online from like Mississauga, Ontario, and I'm like, I've never been to Mississauga, Ontario, so now I've like come up with like, this is the first scene in an action movie, and now I'm like Tom Cruise. Now I have to go there and like just kick the shit out of anybody at a computer.
Well, I don't know if it was an actual person.
You don't think?
More than it was like a bot.
Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Oh, what's hacking? Did you ever see the movie Hackers? Like, it's a 90s film.
I don't think so.
It's absolutely fantastic.
What is the plot?
Well, basically, I mean, I wonder if it holds up. I bet it still holds up. Hackers is the shit. A young boy, he's like 12 years old. He gets drug into a massive court hearing, and it would be like the equivalent of like hacking like Facebook or Twitter or something, right?
Yeah.
So this kid does like this massive like bank hack or something. He's like 12 years old, and for like the next like 10 years, his crimes like the punishment is that you can't go near like a computer or like a touch tone phone or whatever, because like apparently like, you know, back in the day those had something to do with computers and shit too. But basically he gets into high school, or his mom like moves him to like New York City or something like that, I think in his like senior year of high school, and then he starts to like meet all these like other hackers, right? Matthew Lillard is in it from Scream fame, SLC Punk. Anybody giving Matthew Lillard shit about some Scooby-Doo can go fuck themselves. We love Matthew Lillard on this show. He's got a fun haircut and he's really fun in the show. But anyway, there was something that I like romanticized about like hacking. I was like, oh, that's cool. You know what I mean? Like there's the idea that like the little man can take down, you know what I mean? Like a massive corporation or something, Microsoft or MasterCard or anything like that can crumble to the ground. Yeah. That's when I'm fucking with hacking, right? I love it.
Right.
But then some pussy, some piece of shit, like goes onto my phone and then tries to, I don't know, like none of my banking or any of that was kind of manipulated with, like, so I don't really know what the end game here is, but it's so stupid.
Well, it's just to get your info.
I don't like it, right?
Well,
like if you want my info, then
that.
you meet me in Coquitlam when have my headphones in and I'm not paying attention, and you beat the shit out of me and you steal my wallet like the youths of Coquitlam. Fucking, I prefer that kind of crime. I mean, I don't like either of it, obviously. But I'm from a neighborhood where it's like, say it to my fucking face. Yeah. You know what I mean? Right? So I'm a little hot right now. I'm coming in, you know what I mean? I guess last week I was a little bummed, right? Today I'm a little angry. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if it's like the time or what it is, but my emotions are charged. You know what I mean? Like I'm coming in hot. Okay. And basically, like if you were going to spend your time just hiding behind a screen, you know what I mean? Like trying to like, you know, peek through. There's something voyeuristic and fucking creepy about it, and I don't like it. Yeah. So now I think I'm just going to like go to Mississauga. Well, actually, it's not even Mississauga, because a friend of mine messaged me a screenshot saying that somebody had logged onto their thing from like Shanghai.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. I think it's like a virus, like bot type
So do I have to go to Shanghai and Mississauga and just start slapping phones out of people's hands? Like, should I just start punching keyboards
I
and pissing on them?
don't know if it's an actual person behind it.
Okay.
Just for context, let's discuss briefly how this happened.
If we must, I guess. All right, for the listener.
A link was sent. We've all seen links like this, where basically someone messages you something along the lines of, this looks like you, and a link to what looks like a YouTube video. And Johnny chose to click that link.
I'm a self-centered piece of shit, okay? I'll be the first to admit that I really only think about myself. Yeah. Or like the things like that we've done, right? You know what I mean? I think about you, but mostly like now like the podcast is like a thing. It's like an entity, right? Yeah. So somebody sends me like a sad face, and it's like, oh, this looks like you. In my head, I'm like, we only had like 6 fucking episodes. We're canceled already? Like, this is bullshit. Like, what did I say? So it's just like a split-second thing. Yeah. That I kind of, so I brought the devil into the house, right? Yes. Like, it's a vampire kind of tactic with this thing. Like, you have to invite it in, which I guess I did. Yeah. But, well, you know, I mean, I got to communicate with a lot of friends that I haven't in a long time, which was cool. So shout out to everybody. Yeah, it was rad. And the Vancouver comedy scene remembered I was alive, so we got a couple people requesting to come on the show. We're gonna have some good guests in the next couple weeks, which that's kind of cool, I guess, came from it. But
it was funny to me because I don't know, have you not been sent like a link like this, like a virus type thing like this before?
I mean, every other time I can always like, I feel like I could differentiate between what's like a regular post from a friend of mine and what might be you know, something like a hack or whatever. But this one was just like it was from a good friend, and it was kind of split-second-y. So I'm a self-centered piece of shit. I'm only thinking about myself. And I was like, kind of like, oh shit, she's watching me on YouTube. That's cool. Yeah. You know, and then you click on it, you're like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah. Somebody from wherever the fuck. Some fucking pussy who fucking won't say it to my face is gonna try to go and to be completely honest with you, Jackie, I grew up committing crimes. Like I grew up in that thing, and it took me a long time for me to learn that is your beer, right? And even though I can take it, that's wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, it took me a little while to learn that, right? Some
Okay.
other people that's just like innate or whatever, right? But I'm from that neighborhood so like I want to talk to the kids. Right? Like, what the fuck are you doing, man? Like, you could be doing anything else with your life. There's a lot of cool
But that's what I don't think this is
do.
an actual person. I
I'm
think that this is a
personifying
software.
this. Like, I feel like this is a kid that's just gone down the wrong road. He needs like a big brother in his life kind of situation.
Yeah,
Right? Like, maybe I can help the youth here.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Well, from my perspective, this was a bit comical.
Man, fuck you, man.
Well, because I was sent this link last night too by the same person, and I was like, oh, this looks like spam, and so I didn't click it. And then this afternoon I get a bunch of messages from you from like every chat we're in together, sending the exact same message that I received last night. And so I immediately see it and I'm like, fucking Johnny clicked the link. And then I open it up and I'm like opening my message with you to like tell you that you've been compromised. Yeah. And as I'm telling you, I start getting messages from other people being like, has Johnny been hacked? Does Johnny know he's been hacked? Sending
Shout
me
out to everybody that knows that this is the band, right? Like, so like if maybe I'd been hacked and like also kidnapped or something like that, they got to you as well, which is pretty cool. So shout out to everybody that reached out to me, and a special shout out to everybody that reached out to Jackie for me, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet. People know we're the band. But fuck, man, like that was just it happened like so quick. Like I was gonna come home and take a nap, right?
Yeah.
Now I'm fully charged for this episode, and I do not need a nap, right? Like I just feel like I've been slighted, or there's like it's a privacy thing, right? It's a rear window. It's like there's fucking something voyeuristic and creepy about it. Like there's something there that is just like waiting for you to slip, and at any moment, boom, then they're just gonna come in and do the thing, and it's bullshit. And like the internet's not a cool place. We'll get into another story in a minute here, but the internet like is fucking up all over the place, right? Or people are just using the internet for the wrong reasons, and I love to read stories about that. But when I'm on the receiving end of the bullshit, like imagine if something actually would have happened, like if they actually would have took I would be fucking
I mean it's shitty. But now going forward, you can sort of have your guards up a bit. Hopefully this doesn't happen again. Anyone listening, if you get any suspicious links, don't just click them right away.
You know what, in your like a private email inbox from
no
me,
not even
then
email.
It might be a
I've
picture of my
spam
penis and you
on,
could open it. Like,
yeah,
I've been sending those around.
Sure, but like you can even
only to
get
real
the
friends though.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like nothing bad really happened. You change your password. It's done now.
Yeah, but I can still talk shit.
Yeah,
I just feel like it's some fucking dork in glasses. Like, and I mean, like the appearance wise has nothing to do with it. But I just know that that's the fucking kid that's just like, there's nothing in the world for me and fucking right. So like they're like form of like anarchy and disruptance and chaos or whatever. It's just like going into my bank account. There's nothing in there, man. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. No, I get it.
They want my information.
Annoying.
What the fuck do they want? If you see me live, then you will not be able to embarrass me with anything that you find on my phone that you're gonna like leak out to the public. Everybody knows where the bodies are.
Yeah, I don't think it's so much like
a
leak thing. Is that they can then sell your information to other companies and shit.
I'll sell my information to other companies if any company wants to know my information and they're willing to pay for it.
Sure.
Shit, yeah. Like, what are you watching? Like, what's your Pornhub search? Everything. I don't go to the smorgasbord and eat noodles. Like, get the fuck out of here, man. I'm trying everything on the thing, and I'm comfortable with that.
Okay.
Right, but I don't like that. There's some, I don't know, fucking internet dork out there is trying to fuck with like me and the people that I care about. And that's what I'm upset about.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool?
I understand. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Moving on. What well, I wanted to bring up a news story that I found to be pretty fascinating because it's just like it involves the internet, which like, we didn't really plan for this episode, but it rolls in perfectly, right? And
There's
we're
shady people out there.
Oh, there's so many shady people out there, and but this is a point where like where law enforcement actually, you know what I mean, has done their job, Jackie. So, in there's a website operating on the dark web out of Germany. Europol is not like Interpol or whatever, but so I'm sure there's a European law enforcement agency that's been investigating this child porn site since. I want to say 2019.
Yeah, what was the name of the site again? It was
it was something creepy.
It was like
Boys
something.
World or
Yeah,
some shit like
boys something. Yeah.
Nasty. Any of you going to fucking Google it, you're not going to be able to because they took the thing down. And I don't think Google operates on the dark web. I don't really know how the internet works. As you can see, I just got hacked because I'm a fucking idiot that clicked a YouTube link. But basically what had happened, and also I don't want to wage war on hackers. If there's anybody out there being like, fuck this guy, like, give me a break, man. I don't got anything.
You've been hacked once.
Never again. Well, probably again. But anyway, what had happened was this law enforcement agency has been investigating this dark website. They have known about this thing for the better part of 3 years. They then, with the knowledge that the site was existing, let it operate to grow to upwards of like 400,000 users. And then it was just announced the other day that they took the site down. You know what I mean, right? Are you thinking like arrests are going to come up? And they, out of 400,000 people, they arrested 3.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so law enforcement, right? Like another win for law enforcement. You know, it's like it's crazy because like this is like the day that, you know, we can look back on as like the day that child porn ended. You know? Which is pretty cool, right?
Yeah, there's 3 less child pornographers
on a site of over 400,000,
or child pornography consumers.
So like if you're law
there's
enforcement,
only 399,997 left.
That is 0.000075%. I did the math. I might have messed a 0 up there.
Yeah.
But it's pretty good.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, what more can you ask for?
Not much. Not 399,997 more, that's for sure.
Those are just people.
You
just
know,
let them live their lives.
It's incredible. You know, they arrested one of the guys, 2 of the guys I think in Germany, one of the guys in Paraguay, and not only were they like prolific posters on the site, I think they're putting up like thousands of images and videos or whatever at a piece, right? But so in law enforcement's term, right? So if you're law enforcement and you know that this site is operating, and it's almost like I love true crime stories, right? So when you're investigating the mob, you have like Donnie Brasco, right? So Donnie Brasco is like a real person that was infiltrating the mob, and he's not just gonna blow his spot up, right? Like you want to build a case. You know, right? So you can't just go in and take the first murderer that you come across and get one murderer off the street because organized crime still exists,
because
right?
you want to work your way up the ladder. You don't want to punish. It's not about punishing individual crimes as it is getting the whole organization.
Exactly. That's why like when Rudy Giuliani wasn't like a fucking melting smoldering piece of fucking ice cream that just like sucks Donald Trump's dick all the time. Like before that, he was actually like a pretty prominent prosecutor, and he was
but wasn't that
changed the game? No, he started like the
but
RICO
it was
case.
but it was all kind of for his own benefit. Don't you think that was his game? Was for him to get the limelight?
Jackie,
like not to take away from what he did.
Rudy Giuliani's obviously a piece of shit, and he was going from like head prosecutor to like mayor of New York and stuff. And he was I think a decent mayor during the time of 9/11. I don't know a whole lot about him before. You know, like Donald Trump's semen just like invaded his body, and now he's like a little lackey for that fucking dude or something, right?
I think
like it's a weird. No, definitely fucking just out for himself. He's a piece of shit, right?
Yeah.
But you can't take away from the fact that he did put away, you know what I mean, some of the most prolific gangsters of all time, right? So just using him for the example.
Sure.
You're not gonna get to the head of the snake. You know what I mean, without. I don't know, starting at the tits, a stupid analogy, but either way, right? Like, so it takes time to investigate these things, right?
Yeah.
So
you can't cut off the tail of the snake
and get to the
and
head.
it'll just grow back. Don't snakes' tails grow back?
No, man, that's like a fucking starfish or something. I don't know.
No, I'm pretty sure snakes' tails grow back.
Do snakes' tails grow back?
Lizards definitely do. You can't cut off the tail of a lizard and expect it to die. You need to cut off the head.
Fucking great analogy. See, that's why we're a fucking team here, okay? Get on board. Fucking love this band. Then okay, so basically, what they're doing is you're trying to build a case, right? You want as much information that you can. to do something like a RICO case where Rudy Giuliani at one time was like prosecuting hundreds of gangsters at the same time, right?
Yes.
Under conspiracy,
Yeah,
right?
Sure.
Now, what Europol does, right, is they see that and they think pretty cool. But let's just take out 3 guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That are kind of like I think it's well, I'm not in law enforcement, right? I'm not an investigator by any means, right? But from what I'm saying, it just kind of sounds like you bitched out or you didn't do your job well enough. You know what I mean? Or were they only operating out of Germany? Could only arrest fucking 2 guys because the other guy from Paraguay is on extradition to Germany. I'm just saying they did a great job.
Yeah. It's interesting in like when I think about the times we hear about people being prosecuted for child pornography, it's almost
always... You're going to say when I think about child porn, because that's got to be like 4 or 5 times a day.
But it's almost always like celebrities, like they make like an example out of well-known people. Like what's Subway guy? What's his name again?
Oh, Jared.
Yeah.
Prolific.
And so like, we hear about Jared getting locked up.
Yeah.
But no one, goes further. It's always just you lock up individual people, but that doesn't do anything to solve the root of the
Wait
problem.
a minute, Jack, are you insinuating that these 3 arrests is not going to stop child pornography at the whole?
No disrespect for the German police in law enforcement, but I suspect that there might be a few stragglers left, upwards of 399,000, who might sort of continue this line of work.
Okay. Well, I mean, I didn't know, right? I figured that maybe once you've been doing something that's so illegal for so long and you get away with it, then maybe you stop, right? But that's what I mean,
that doesn't seem to stop anyone ever.
No, it really doesn't. I'll keep clicking YouTube links if you keep sending the fucking things, apparently. I guess that's what it is. Like, I mean, Louis C.K. has a fucking Saturday Night Live opening monologue on child porn or child molesting or whatever that is just fucking fantastic. But they like the crux of the whole piece is basically like if something is like fucking a kid has to be so good. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because like if I had to stop eating Clark bars or whatever, right? Like I mean, it's ridiculous. It's crazy, absolutely fucking hilarious bit, but it just kind of cements the idea that like if you're that fucking perverted, you're so down there. It's like almost like, it's like kind of like murderers and like psychopaths and shit like that or whatever, right? If you're conscious of what you're doing is wrong, and then you're still gonna go out of your way to like get it done, maybe. Europol like look into that, because the problem is basically is what happens when you shut down like this site. I assume another one pops up.
Yeah, exactly.
With 399,000 potential users looking for a place to call home.
It'll take another 3 years to shut it down or whatever.
Yeah, so if every 3 years Europol arrests 3 child pornographers, then I mean. That's a great start.
I mean, that's 3 off the street.
Yeah, by my math, like we will end child pornography by like 2185, I think, by those numbers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is pretty good.
Yeah.
Which is solid.
That's yeah.
Change doesn't happen overnight, Jackie. What more do you want?
No, I mean, I think this is a solid start.
It's a good step in the right direction for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. It's hard, for law enforcement, I think.
I didn't know where this sentence was gonna go.
It wasn't my penis. Like I've only, what's weird? Actually, Jack, do you ever think about like at the time you lost your virginity? Like how old? If you don't mind me asking, how old were you when you lost your virginity?
I was like 19. I was older.
Oh, that's legal then.
Yeah.
See, if I go back and like I'm thinking about like your first time's never that great or whatever, but there's something romantic about it. You're kind of like, oh, that was cool.
Not in my case.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, mine might have sucked too. But the idea that if you're going to go back and masturbate thinking about your first time, then you're potentially masturbating to child porn.
Yeah.
And that's not something that I do. I just want to go on record right now. Saying that I only masturbate to Johnny DeVito sex memories post 2008.
Okay.
Let the record show.
Yeah.
Let the record show. Right? Just because I'm conscious about that, did I throw away all the pictures that I took in those earlier days? Of course not. I'm making money on Boys Town. You're a fool. You let one slip through the crack. That's fucking terrible. No, it's just gross. Like, that's just what the internet's like. Like a big part of the internet is for like trying to steal my data and information and try to find pictures of me with my dick out when I'm like 4 years old.
Yeah.
Weird. Right? You see again how I'm self-centered and everything circles back to me. But that's why I feel like I could do something. Maybe I can help. Right?
Yeah. Maybe you can take down 4 child pornographers.
Like at a bar or like and the same night. I mean, I don't know. I feel I feel like I could get it done, right? But I like the idea of like Tom Cruise. Like if I was John Cruise, right? And I'm just running through like all different types of like high society, maybe like Tom Cruise, but like Mission Impossible, John Cruise in an Eyes Wide Shut kind of situation.
Okay.
I feel like that guy's really going to make a difference. You know what I mean? Because like Tom Cruise and all of his espionage and all of his greatness, you know what I mean? Has never really even arrested like one child pornographer. And I've seen all the movies.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think he's done some questionable things in his life too.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Tom Cruise. I will go on record right now by saying Tom Cruise has severed the heads off of like innocent animals like 14 times at least. Like I feel like it's starting to be like an annual thing, but I think he's getting into it because it's biannual now. And like if you just follow like Tom Cruise on the dark web, then you will see like ISIS style beheading videos at like PetSmart. Like he'll just go right into the store and do it. Yeah, which is wild.
Yeah.
A man's got to follow his passions, but also like if I'm passionate against that, then I feel like I have to stand up.
Yeah.
Right. So we'll say it right now and show me yours. Tom Cruise, your fucking time is up, bud.
Yeah.
Did I go off?
No.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm just so passionate.
I get
about
nervous talking about Tom Cruise. I don't want the Scientology to come after us.
Yo, you think Tom Cruise is the guy that hacked me?
Maybe.
Yo. Oh, never mind, Tom.
We're
totally cool. Yeah, let's edit that shit out. Do you think that Scientology has any like real power? Like, do you think those motherfuckers
dude,
like
fuck, man? Have you? Oh, I've.
What other power do they have other than Tom Cruise and John Travolta's money though? Like, who else is into that?
I don't want to get. I literally don't want to get into it.
Are you afraid, Jackie?
Yeah.
Oh, now we gotta go.
Scary.
Do you know anything about it?
Yeah, I've watched so many documentaries about Scientology.
All you know is that
they're
supposed to be
deep into it, and fuck, it's
they are
wild.
to be respected, and we are actually we got Thetans pumping.
I just know
here.
that they'll fuck with people.
Really?
Yeah.
I peed on the door of a Scientology building one time, and I didn't know that it was
definitely
there.
have your face logged somewhere. 100%.
Do you think? Oh,
they have cameras everywhere.
The problem is that I didn't do it out of like malice or spite or anything. I just really had to pee, and if you're like cruising around downtown Vancouver, not a lot of places to pee at night when the bars go out, right? So I was just
the one right downtown.
Yeah, the one right downtown, right? So it's like on Pender and fucking Homer or whatever, and
it's on Hastings, I think. And
is it Hastings? Yeah, that's right.
Sorry, it was right by where I used to live.
Yeah, it was across from the VFS, from the Bear Pit. Anyway, I'm walking home, and I don't know what anybody was even doing in there that late. But maybe they just get down with Scientology like that. Maybe they thought that like I was gonna come and find.
Oh, I think they have people there like round the clock.
Okay. Basically, I just peed on a door, and the dude came to the door, and I didn't realize until he's like at the door, and I'm like, oh, this is weird. So you try to like finish really fast and put your dick away. And he just like opened the door and was like, "Fucking really, man." And from that response, I was like, Scientology's maybe not that bad, or maybe that dude, because he was just like. What the fuck, man? Like, it was such a disrespectful thing to do, but I didn't do it because it was a Scientology building. Yeah. I would have peed on that shit if it was Starbucks. Yeah. But unfortunately, so it kind of happened. Then I walked away giggling a little bit, being like, but now are you saying that like they could?
They definitely have that on
video.
Scientology
hacked me today because I peed on a Scientology building. Maybe
I've unintentionally peed in front of a restaurant before with people dining.
Well, do tell.
I was like 20 or 21, and I was with my friends, and we were going out drinking in Victoria. and we're walking to the bar, and before we get there, we're like, me and two of my friends, who I won't name because I don't know if they want this out there.
Probably Shelby Maddie.
Yeah. It's not that hard to guess. And we were like, oh, I really have to pee. Let's pee before we go into the bar.
Sure.
And so we like found
the bar that has stalls
yes.
and toilets and everything like that.
Yeah.
You just want to crank one out real quick.
Yeah, because when we get
time.
in, we want to walk in, go to the bar, get our drinks, and like start going wild.
Yeah, you don't want to walk in and run to the bathroom.
And you know what?
Then everybody knows you're doing coke at that point, right?
Well,
or even if you're not, they just think you are. They're going to treat you differently if the three of you run in and immediately go to the bathroom and then get your seat.
And to be completely honest, there's like at this time, there was like a 95% chance that we had like done a bunch of MDMA before we left. And so we just like wanted to get in there and start dancing.
There's a 95% chance that you...
Yeah.
Awesome. No, that's cool.
I mean, during this time that this happened,
It's a rad story.
I'm almost certain that we probably had just done a bunch of MDMA.
Okay.
And we didn't want to deal with the bathrooms. We just wanted to get into the bar and start dancing.
Oh, I'm with you there.
And so we find a dumpster to pee next to. And so the three of us are all like squatting close to each other, just peeing. And then we look over and two of our other friends are sort of like waving at us like crazily, but we're all like midstream. And we're like, what the fuck are they? We're like actively peeing, actively
Three
squatting.
of you in a row?
All next to each other.
Ass and pussy just out facing the window?
No. We were next to a dumpster. So from our perspective, we had just found a dumpster and we're peeing next to it. And then we look up at two of our other friends and they're like waving at us and stuff. And then they just start laughing. And I'm like, what the fuck is their problem? And then we finished and I walked back over to them. And my friend was like, dude, like you're in front of a fucking restaurant. And we look and like everyone in the restaurant is like looking at us and laughing.
Describe the restaurant for me real quick. Is it like is it a Denny's or is it fine dining establishment?
No, it
anywhere
was like
in between?
a nice restaurant in downtown Victoria. People were having like a nice like sit down dinner and they look out the window and we're all three of us squatting like ass and pussy facing towards the window just peeing.
Do you think anybody had like a Harry Met Sally moment in that point? It was like, I'll have what she's having. Like that's pretty cool. I just think there's an old guy there that's like maybe like an old widower, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he just loves his wife so much, right? And he misses her every day, and he's like, I could never find anything.
Yeah.
You know, I mean that would bring me joy, like just like the loving embrace of my dear wife. And then he looks out the window and sees three 19-year-old girls just peeing in his direction. He's like, you know what? I think I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Like you might have turned somebody's whole life around.
I mean, I'm sure we made some people's nights and then ruined some other people's nights.
If you're too stuck up to be able to enjoy a fine meal with a fine glass of wine,
yeah,
you know, and you can't appreciate the beauty that is three 19-year-old girls just peeing with their ass just facing directly to you.
I mean, like
I'm just saying, like, call me. Maybe I'm more advanced than the next person, but like this prudish lifestyle that these people are living has to end today.
And we would have all been wearing like short, tight skirts and like crop tops, and so would have just like pulled up the skirt.
in a pee situation, okay, so like in an outdoor pee situation, Jackie, I go like I unbutton the pants, fly down, but then I dig through the boxer hole and I pull out the hole. So are you like a panties down public peer, or you pull to the side?
Oh, down.
Oh, really?
I go into a full like yoga squat.
Interesting.
Yeah, I actually quite enjoy peeing outdoors.
I always feel like I'd pull it to the side. Is there like an issue with
Well, because you don't have really control over where the pee is gonna This
is fascinating, ladies and gentlemen. You heard this here first on Show Me Yours.
Peeing outdoors as a lady, you have to really like push the butt out, so it's gonna go back rather than like spray all over your legs and your clothes.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So
okay.
what I do is I go like underwear all the way down, if I'm wearing pants, all the way down, and then go into a full squat and like really push my butt out.
If if there was something to like hold on to, is that ideal? Like, would you have that, or do you kind of go by the?
I mean,
or is
like,
that what all the yoga's for?
yeah, it's for this exact purpose.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, no, I've never really been in want of something to hold on to, but I'm sure if something was there, maybe I would.
I've done that, like, in
but
a
I've
Forrest Gump
peed in
situation.
a lot of precarious situations.
That's rad. That's a
Yeah.
cool story, Jackie.
Thanks.
Thanks for sharing this. Rumor has it that
Yeah.
that's probably not the first time that you peed in public.
Oh no, and it won't be the last.
Fuck yeah, that's rad. I get nervous a lot of times when I'm peeing. Like, even if I'm at a urinal in a bar and I'm sitting, like, and I there's nothing more in the world that I have to do is piss. If I go to a urinal and some asshole stands next to me, I can't go.
Yeah.
It's like, and I read a thing on it. There's like 4% of the population deals with that. There's a name for it. I call it being a fucking pussy. But that's just something that I struggle with. You know what I mean? A lot of times, too, if I'm peeing in an alley with my friends and shit, they're like, what the fuck, man? I'm like, stop talking to me for 2 seconds and let the stream go. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's just a thing that I deal with, you know?
Yeah,
that's
I
my
get
plight,
that.
you know, as a human being, right? And I think that it's time that people start recognizing me for all the struggles and trials and tribulations that I've been through.
Well, I think we're starting to do that here.
Thanks, Jax. I appreciate that. Before we get into this record, because I do love it,
Yes.
but I also have to piss out of my dick.
And we're back.
All right.
So, with all of that out of the way.
Yeah, I feel better now. I feel
Good.
better. Sorry, guys. I came in hot there. We talked about the problems.
Yeah.
We talked about, like, law enforcement making, you know what I mean, a positive step in the right direction, right? Which now I feel better about.
Good.
Right? So overall, you know, it might have shattered my illusions of love, but now if you can tell me about this record, Jackie.
Yeah, so like I said, this week we're doing Rumours by Fleetwood Mac. It came out in 1977, and I think that most people would probably agree that this is Fleetwood Mac's masterpiece.
Do they have other records? This fucking,
They
like,
do.
If
They have
it's
many.
any like this, like, I would probably listen to it.
Yeah, it's iconic. In my opinion, it's one of the greatest albums of all time. In many people's opinions, it's one of the greatest albums of all time. It's number 7 on the Rolling Stones list of 500 greatest albums of all time.
Yeah, so fuck you, Josh Adam Myers. We're getting to it first.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I think, like I was saying before, I unknowingly was, like, raised around this album. My
Yeah.
mom's, like, huge into, you know, like, this kind of rock and stuff, but
Yeah.
like the albums that I remember was like Collective Soul and whatever. Like, you know, so
Right.
I didn't see this CD specifically,
Right.
but as you tell me to listen to it and I go through it, it's undeniable that I've known all of these songs. I mean, to give or take a few of them, that probably didn't make the radio, but it's pretty fucking, like, iconic. Or
Yeah.
it brought up, like, memories of, like, camping when I'm a kid and shit like that.
Yeah,
I never thought about. So
yeah.
it's definitely, it's been in the zeitgeist.
yes, and we listened to this album last year before we started the podcast. Actually,
Yeah.
it was right after we bought all the equipment to record the podcast, and we took the equipment to the island
Yeah.
to sort of play around with it.
Was this album the impetus of this show?
It could have planted the seed, because at that
Wow.
point we weren't really sure what the format of the show was going to be
very
yet.
cool. Okay, because that was a very
Yeah.
cool night. If you have the opportunity to listen to this album for the first time, I would recommend going to Jackie's parents' house on the island, because her dad Tim is a fucking beauty who will just set up speakers in the backyard and just let
Yeah.
you blast that shit until like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
We had a really good time.
We did. We were there. Yeah, everyone had gone to bed. We were sitting outside. It was really late. We had like the lights on, and we were just blasting Fleetwood Mac like into the forest.
Yeah. There was some cougars out there that were like,
Yeah.
you know, trying to maybe to add to the 400,000, you know, child pornographers out there. There's a lot of cougars in the woods there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There were maybe
Yeah.
up to nefarious things that we might have stopped a crime that night because, you know, the
were
beautiful
jamming.
sultry sounds, you know,
Yeah.
were echoing through the
Jamming to
woods.
Stevie.
It was pretty
Yeah,
cool.
so it was sort of like the first unofficial Show Me Yours, which is kind of fun.
That is fun. That's super fun. I mean, and now for whatever reason,
Mm-hmm.
now this record holds like a special place in my heart.
Yeah.
And when I grew up, somebody said, "Oh, if it isn't punk, it sucks." And I agreed with them. And that was terrible advice. So
Yeah.
I basically spent my entire life rebelling against like the things that that like my parents like or like society is kind of deemed to be the best. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck you. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? All my favorite records are, you know, kids that made, and then hip hop as well, right? I think that bleeds over into the thing. For whatever reason, like, I love the music of the youth.
Yeah.
And so when I was a youth and I heard this shit, I'm like, the fuck out of here. Now I'm 30 years old. Stop thinking like that and start like opening your mind to a couple other things, and maybe you can groove out to like what would be deemed a classic record by like the Rolling Stone or whoever his opinion matters, I guess in this case. I kind of got to find it afterwards, and it was cool.
Yeah.
I fucking really dug it.
Yeah.
Up until getting hacked today, I was like, did it make you cry?
Yeah.
I mean, there's some real bangers on this.
It's pretty undeniable in my opinion. And
Yeah,
so just
yeah.
like a little bit, I won't go too deep into the history of the band.
Give me a little
it's-
bit, because I don't know really anything. Yeah.
So it originally formed in 1967, Fleetwood Mac, but they've gone through so many lineup changes.
Okay.
And the most iconic lineup is the lineup that we see on this album. So on this album, there's of course Stevie Nicks on vocals, and then this is Mick Fleetwood, who is one of the
Really?
one of the founding members. Yeah, he's the drummer. And then we also have Lindsey Buckingham, who is a guitarist and a vocalist.
Oh, we'll get into that later. Okay.
Yeah, and we also have John McVie on bass, who is one of the other founding members, and so that's Fleetwood Mac came from obviously Mick Fleetwood and John McVie, so it came Mac.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we
but
also
has Stevie been in the band from the beginning?
no.
Oh, okay.
Her
Okay,
and
cool.
Lindsay came together. I forget what the year was. I probably have it written down somewhere, but
so
it's
the
not
guitar
this
player
album.
just had like a girlfriend show up to band practice, and she
No.
fucking revolutionized the band. Is that how?
No, they came together. They
Oh,
were
okay.
they came in the album before this one, which is their self-titled album. Their second self-titled album. The first one was their original lineup.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
But they came on basically the guitarist.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's really weird when bands do that, because like there's a few times where already off the top of my head, Rancid first album was called Rancid, and then in 2001 we just call that album 2001 now, but
Right.
it's just Rancid as well. Silly. It's a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
That's kind of
And
cool.
so I want to say it was like 1975 that they came on. That sounds about right, because
Okay.
it was the album before this one, and this was 1977. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. Also,
we don't
sorry,
check the facts on this show. Come
yeah,
on, people.
the final member of this lineup is Christine McVie, who is a keyboardist and vocalist, and she also wrote a bunch of the songs of this album. So
Oh, wow.
don't sleep on Christine.
Married to, or is it relation to the other?
So we're gonna get into that.
Oh, yeah, break it down for us, Jax. Break it down.
So this album is also notorious for the amount of personal strife and conflict within the band at the time it was being recorded.
I couldn't hear any of that in the songs. If you really follow, like, I'm a lyrics guy and shit, and I thought that it was all just peachy,
Yeah.
puppy dogs and ice cream on this one.
So basically, a brief overview is that before this album was made, they were touring for their self-titled album, and after 6 months of touring, John McVie and Christine McVie, who had been married for 8 years, split up. And then, so Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks, who had been dating since before they entered the band, they had a different group called Buckingham Nicks together. And so
That's
then
a shitty band name. I'm sorry.
yeah,
Buckingham, like,
yeah, but
come on.
they came into the band together, and well, basically what happened there was they the guitarist, fuck, his name fucking escapes me now, I apologize, but the guitarist before Lindsay had left the band, and Mick wanted to bring in Lindsay, and Lindsay basically said, I'm a package deal with Stevie. And so
Oh.
that's how they came into the band.
Okay, cool.
And so they were in a relationship, but they had just split up as well in a very like ugly split.
That's the way
so
I
we
feel about
have-
us, right? Like, if anybody's going to try to poach, be like, this is the band.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, but like, Stevie's coming.
Yeah.
I hope he would do the same.
Of
but-
course, of
Okay,
course.
okay,
And
Clip that, because
yeah.
that's going to
Yeah,
be the clip
right.
I kill myself to. No, I'm just kidding.
So
Keep it light.
we have Christine and John, had just divorced. We
Okay.
have Stevie and Lindsay, who had just split up. And Mick was also going through a divorce because he had just found out that his wife had been having an affair with his best friend.
Jesus Christ.
And Christine had also, after in the midst of this divorce, had just had started dating the lighting director for the band. And so it was a complete fucking shit show when they were recording this album. Like the recording studio, I imagine, was a supremely awkward space. Like these couples, they weren't talking to each other. Like it wasn't it was a messy split. Like they were not friendly. They only talked when it came to music, when they were
Jesus
working
Christ.
on songs. Otherwise they were completely, they didn't even want to be in the same room together.
You hear about bands recording albums, and it's always kind of funny for me. It's like the general songwriters of the band will kind of be in there throughout like the entire recording process. I've never recorded a record. I've never been in there, but like those stories kind of fascinate me. Where you'll have like the drummer will come in and just like track his drums, whatever, and they come in and finish them off or whatever. But some members of the band will only need to be there for just a short period of time.
Yeah.
But that all is well and good.
Yeah.
But when you have something that's like this complex, like I understand that for like a fucking Blink-182 record or something, right? You have the general idea of where it's going to go, and Travis Barker's going to come in and like, and do his thing for a couple days or whatever, and then get the fuck out of there. I don't think he's ever given a shit about, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What they're like, right? But for something that's, I think it's like a little more complex, there's a lot going into it. I mean, the soundscape itself, like it requires like 6 fucking people to play the songs, right? So,
and when they recorded this album, I forget the name, but it's in an area that's outside of LA, sort of in the boonies a bit.
Okay.
I forget the fucking name of the town they were in, but basically they all had to move out to this place and live in this place, and so they were completely isolated. All they did was fucking record this album with people that they didn't want to fucking be around.
do you have any idea the recording period, like the time it took to record the record?
I don't. I forget the
because like
time
I mean, if
period,
that was
yeah.
like a shitty 2 weeks, that would
No,
be shitty.
no, it
But
was
if it was like a
longer than
shitty
that.
6 months, that
It
would
was
be wild.
more in the range of 6 months.
Where-
I want to say probably like 2-3 months. Something
As
like that,
a
yeah.
band that is crumbling, you know what I mean, before your eyes, right? But we're gonna go and record the next record, right? But like it's probably pretty clear to everybody that like.
Well,
based
they
on like where the
stayed,
personal life is going, like, are we gonna tour this fucking record?
They
and
did.
then you make one of the greatest
Yeah.
fucking albums of all time. That's got to be like everybody in the band is subliminally saying "fuck you" to every other member in the band. You know what I mean? Like with all the
Yeah.
with these rumors spreading.
Yeah.
Or,
Well, and
I
and
guess it'd be beyond rumors at this point if they've already split up. But you know what I
Yeah.
mean? For the sake of
Well-
the record, I'm sure there's like bad puns and stupid jokes that they could go into. Like if you were about to like change the landscape of like what would be considered classic rock 20 years later or
Yeah.
whatever, right? Like there was just 5 out of like how many songs are on this record?
like 8 to 10, something
Fucking
like that.
like
It's pretty
5 or 6 of them are like all-time classics. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like
I would
definitive.
say more. I
that-
would say there's only a couple that
I think
probably
there's
aren't
like
that
2
you
or
don't
3
hear
that I
a
didn't,
lot,
that
yeah.
kind of ebbed and flowed.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But like, it's undeniable
Yeah.
how great these records are. But that has to be fucked up.
Well, it's
Right?
interesting because if you watch, some documentaries and interviews about it, you hear them talking about it. They didn't, at the time, you're like in it. And so they're like, writing these songs. I mean, Stevie and Lindsay and Christine are all writing these songs about, about each other and about John and stuff. They're all writing it about members in the band, but they don't, not like
Christine again is
was married to the bassist.
yeah, but
John.
what does she play in the band?
She's keyboard and she does
Oh,
vocals.
okay, cool. Okay, sorry. Okay, sweet.
Yeah, she
cool.
sings the Songbird. She sings "You Make Loving Fun." She's
Oh!
that voice.
I'm gonna have to listen to it a little bit deeper. I thought every female voice on the record was Stevie, maybe like doing like a little bit different stuff. It doesn't. Does it stand out? Like now that I go back to it, is it very
Yeah, you would
clearly
be
it's a
able to
different
hear the
person? Okay,
difference,
sorry.
yeah.
Okay. I think I
But
was
like
just vibing to the.
they
tune.
were at the time recording it. They didn't. It's not like they were thinking about the fact, oh, this is awkward. We're all singing about each other. They were just the person writing the song obviously knew what it was about, but they were recording music, and then when they listened back to it, they were like, oh my god, all of these songs are about each other, and these are just like journal entries going through like horrific breakups and playing and having to cooperate with the person that you're breaking up with to make this
what a
music.
happy accident to make some of like the, you know what I mean, some great music, but it's detrimental in the sense that like if you're trying to break this relationship up and you're trying to like, you know, get on and live your life, you might have to play these songs
and they
for
did.
the rest of your fucking life.
And they did.
Which is wild. That's
yeah.
yeah.
And so
There's a dichotomy there that is fucking hilarious and tragic at the same time.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty wild. Yeah. And so the other little piece of like relationships in this band was that Stevie and Mick had a brief affair after this album came out. So they
did they just fuck on a pile of money after?
Like, cool. There's also this story about like after this album came out and they were shooting a cover for, I think it was Rolling Stone, and Annie Leibovitz was shooting them, and they got there and she just had like a bunch of coke for them and she wanted to play on the fact that everyone knew there was all this relationship drama.
Fucking Leibovitz, is she the fucking like the New York dress and like she's like the female
like a very famous photographer.
Yeah, but she was on a documentary. She just came off of Shitty the other. I saw it. Okay, sorry. I don't know. It's just pretentious and up her own ass, but like wear all black in New York photographer or whatever.
Sure.
Okay, sorry.
But anyway, so she wanted them to all like pose.
Maybe
on
shout out to that lady, but I don't know.
She's a very well known photographer.
Seems a little up her own ass.
Well, she probably has reason to be. But anyways, she wanted them to all pose on like a bed together to sort of play on this, but they were all like so uncomfortable with it, and so she brought out all this coke and they did this photo shoot, and then afterwards I guess Stevie and Lindsay like were like making out on the bed and stuff until Annie was like, you guys gotta go, like gotta head out. And then shortly after that,
okay, so I didn't like her in the documentary and I hate her even more now based on that story. Like if you're just gonna like party it up to get the shot, and then when you know the magic happens that you were trying to curate in your studio happens, and then you're trying to cut it off because you have a fucking 3 o'clock with like Bon Jovi. Like you can go fuck yourself. Fran Ann Lee, what the fuck is her name?
Ann Leibovitz.
Okay, yeah. Right. The famous Ann Leibovitz. You heard it here first.
Anyways,
sorry.
So obviously, like we've been talking about, this album is notorious for all of the conflict that was going on between the band members at the time. Stevie Nicks has said that she thinks Fleetwood Mac, they created the best music when they were in the worst shape personally.
I've never heard any of their other songs.
Yeah, and Lindsey Buckingham has said in reference to this album that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, meaning like all of the bullshit that was going on with them individually, like on their own, it was like absolute chaos, but together they created this thing.
This wouldn't have happened if shit wasn't hitting the fan, if there wasn't excrement hitting the air conditioner in every fucking apartment, you know what I mean, right? Shout out to Kurt Vonnegut, but that was I just love that line. But if you're like, everybody's life has to be crumbling at the particular time or whatever to make this thing, right? Especially with everybody writing different songs, because it's pretty clear, like the tone from like oh shit, I can't remember the names off the top of my head, but like sorry, I'm gonna have to look up the track list or whatever, but it's very clear because they're fucking hits, right? But they're so clearly very different. The vibe of them is very different. It makes a lot of sense that you're saying that that the three people wrote all the songs on this record, because there's a different feel of all.
And you know, some of them were about the, you know, breakups they were going through. Some of them were about like the like flings they were having at the time and stuff. And anyways, so to sort of I think that like it's a big thing for comedians to feel like they can't really like create their art or their work unless they're in a shitty place. And I guess, like, do you think that like the best art comes out of conflict and tension, or you have to be in a shitty place personally to make something really great?
There's a great band that I love called Dead to Me. If you YouTube them or you Google them, it's not the show. It's a fucking band. They only put out a couple albums, but there's Does all good art come from suffering? Not all good art comes from suffering. You know what I mean? That I love that fucking song, but it's hard to say because it really depends on the person. We were talking about George Carlin and Richard Pryor last week, and I think that like one of them, like it's I think it's pretty clear when you look at like the material and what they're going through and the way that they choose to present it. It's pretty clear that I think that like Richard Pryor thrives off of his past, and he's able to make that comedy so much more relatable, even though his, you know what I mean, the wild past is obviously, you know, a lot different from everybody that's in the crowd. But you can kind of I can relate more with people that are doing, you know, stuff like that because of like where I came from, right? So it's really relieving to hear art come from a painful place.
Yeah.
Because like if you come from a painful place, and that's like the, you know, it's the reason that like all like my punk rock friends dyed their hair black, and you know what I mean, fucking like went like a little emo-y or whatever, you know what I mean? Like you can really gravitate towards like the emotion in that thing. Does it need to be there? I don't think so. There's great art obviously made from people that don't need to suffer for it. They're just talented individuals. Yeah. And very visually or in whatever art you're creating. I don't think that that's the case. But for whatever reason, the stuff that you really hold on to, maybe not visual art, but with like music, writing, like poetry, anything that I think like is, I don't know, like lyrically based or something like that, I think for that kind of stuff, and especially for music, like if it's really coming from a place of pain, then like I know a lot more people that are going to carve like the Deftones White Pony like into their arm. You know what I mean? That are going to like, you know, like that are going to spice up their life. You know what I mean? Like keep listening to Spice Girls records like all the way, you know, until now, right? Like there's a difference between like something that you can like, you know, just kind of have a good fun and like bop around to, and there's a difference between like the shit that when you're in a bad place, the stuff that kind of pulls you out of there. So I don't think it's necessary, but I'm really glad that sad people make art because that's the shit that I like. Yeah,
I think it's like cathartic to listen to something or to like watch, you know, someone, a comedian, and you connect through a like point of like pain. I think that's a more powerful connection than if it's like something more lighthearted, even though you still connect to it and it's still good, but it doesn't hit the same way.
Totally.
And
that's like, I mean, I don't know why like
I think for me anyways, that is where like the deepest like that's what sticks with me the most, I guess, because and also because when you're like in pain and you're in a low point, you're looking for something to relate to, and when you find that thing, like a joke that makes you feel like heard or seen, or a song that feels like it's saying exactly what you're feeling, then that's gonna stick with you a lot more than just like a song that makes you happy or just like a silly joke, which, and like I love those things too, but I think that
there's something about the cathartic like release. We went to see Off With Their Heads. Check out Off With Their Heads. Fucking fantastic band. Tragic accident that happened after the show or whatever, but we won't go into that. That show itself, I've seen it a bunch of times, but every time that I get really excited to see that band because Ryan, who runs Anxious and Angry, shout out to his t-shirt, he prints these shits too, but like that band means so much to me because that guy's gone through so much shit. You know what I mean? And he's so self-aware, and the lyrics are just like fucking amazing that when I hear that stuff, like that band specifically, probably in the past, like, man, I don't know, 5 or 6 years or something, hits me on such a level that when I take you to go see a band that I really like that are playing in a small bar that's basically like half of a fucking a skate ramp, and I leave you up on a 6-foot quarter pipe that you've never been on before, and as soon as that band comes on stage, the first chord rings out, and I'm like, I gotta get in there. See you later, Jackie. And I just slide down a ramp. And I didn't grow up skating ramps, but it's a little bit easier for me to do because like I'm a little bit more comfortable around that thing. And I'm screaming at the front of the stage all those lyrics because like it's a culmination of all the bullshit that I went through. Finding that band, loving that thing, finding like a counterpart out there going, oh, okay, I'm not the only person that's like feeling like this. And not only that, this person is capable of like really,
Yeah.
you know, taking that feeling that you have and putting it perfectly into a fucking song.
Yeah.
And it's stylistically in a punk show, and I could like be sweaty and screaming next to everybody. And that was the greatest moment ever. And then I turn around and you were just stranded on top of that quarter pipe, like, oh, it was a good show. That's that kind of stuff that like that hits like that. So you know, that's where I really notice it, because I mean, if you would have asked me like an hour ago when I was worried about hackers and shit like that, I'd be like, yeah, you know, I mean, you know, you get into it when you get into it, but now specifically thinking about that moment, I'm so goddamn into it, and like that cathartic release of, you know, fuck this, fuck everything, and it's just like, you know, and you're around a bunch of other, you know, people that are, you know, sad for, you know, 75% of their day, I guess, too, right? So there's that moment that that culminates, you know what I mean, at a punk show in the perfect way, and then I turn around and I see you just stranded up on the top. It just broke my heart a little bit, but at the same time, like, it is kind of funny that's the way that it worked.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for what it's worth, I was stuck, but I wasn't like upset about it, because it's not like when we go to shows, I can't like mosh. It's too
There's
much
not enough
for me.
of you.
Yeah, it's just too much. It's overwhelming, and it's a bit scary.
I've almost had my nose broken, like just from somebody bumping into me or whatever, like a head smashed back into my face.
Yeah, and so
like,
it was kind of nice to be able to sort of still be in it, but just be like out of the way, and just be able to like
the
chill.
video game perspective of it, like just above and behind.
Yeah, but I was very much stuck. Like, I couldn't get down.
I had no idea, and my little sister posted up like right on the side of the stage, so I was kind of like, you know, I was there, and I'm thinking like, Jackie's got to be loving this right now. Oh, fucking asshole.
All right, so moving on. So this album, the recording of it, is also known for the band's excessive partying and use of cocaine.
Oh, no shit.
While they were recording.
Oh,
so
cool.
basically they would come into the studio at like 7 p.m. with, you know, the people that they're divorcing, breaking up with and shit. And so they would just fucking party until like 1 or 2 a.m. And then when they were like completely like fucked up and couldn't do anything else, then they would start recording. And so basically they were so like sleep deprived and in such a shitty place that they were just fucking doing incredible amounts of cocaine.
This does not come off like a party record.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Well, yeah,
well,
but they were just because it wasn't
sense.
like, not, I guess partying isn't the right word, but they were just so deep into it. And that's actually like Gold Dust Woman, the song that closes off this album. That
one of the best ones.
That is Stevie wrote that about her like being like becoming a drug addict while she was recording this. It's about like cocaine. That song.
Shatter My Illusions of Love, Make You Cry, Make You Come Down. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, so coke. Oh, did she make you cry, make you come down, shit, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cocaine Shatter My Illusions of Love too. Yeah. Stevie.
And so Stevie,
I get it.
They wanted to thank their coke dealer in the credits, but they decided against it because he was murdered right before this album came out, and so they decided it'd be in bad taste to credit him.
The fuck you, Fleetwood Mac. Your guy. You got to give it up to your guy. Yeah. There's a guy. I don't want to go into it. I don't want to get into it. Shout out to Tommy.
Yeah. So Mick Fleetwood has said that if he laid out all the cocaine that he snorted into a single line, it would stretch for 7 miles. And it's miles, not kilometers. Miles.
I'm familiar with units of measurement, Jackie, and I'm just trying to think of like all the cocaine. My mom watches this show. I've never done it. Never. Definitely never.
We won't go into the miles of cocaine that
I've never stored 7 miles of cocaine, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that our friends have done.
Yeah.
But
how thick was the line too? Because that's what I would say. Like, I would be like, no, hold on, man. Like that. Yeah. I mean, there's 7 miles, but if it's 6 inches wide, hey, you know.
But do you think the thing that blows my mind about that is the productivity? They were fucking on coke this whole time, and to churn out an album like this, and I can't think of like not.
Jackie, we have a really cool podcast. We read a lot of jokes. No.
Yeah, but not specifically cocaine. But have you ever like done something productive while you're on any drug? because I certain like maybe
define productive, because I've done things like afterwards that I'm like, oh, that was cool that got done, but I never recorded Fleetwood Mac's Rumours.
like something like
So,
that sort of artistic.
yeah.
The only maybe like psychedelics, but even then I'm like not really doing
I've
anything
written,
tangible.
we're not visual artists or anything like that. Like, so if you could call what we do art, I think like where it takes place is on the page.
Yeah.
So I've tried to write on acid, and it's the worst dog shit ever.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't help. Even like the Hemingway, Bukowski kind of thing, like you got to be smashed and or whatever to be like a great writer. I disagree with that as well, because it doesn't help. My writing, maybe like a half hour.
Maybe
you know what I mean?
I'll get ideas, but I can't really.
I do a lot of those, but but that also comes from being loose and talking with your friends, and you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Doing
like
all
you
that,
don't need to be
right?
on
Like
drugs
I
or
can't,
drunk.
I can't fucking sit there with like drugs or alcohol or anything and try to do something creative, and have like new ideas and fresh stuff come into me. On the other hand of that, if I'm hanging out and I'm having fun with my friends, like if you and me are shooting shit, then more ideas will come.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I have to be fucking like in the right mind, sober, usually in the morning, honestly, to like compile all those notes and put them into something that's like
to actually write. I have to.
Yeah, that's succinctly like a story or a joke or like however you want to, you want to take that.
Yeah.
That silly note with no context that you have in your phone, right?
Yeah, like great. I'll have like
fucking
random.
It's not happening on blow.
My God.
No, it's not happening on like, so I don't know. I smoke a lot of weed, so maybe that, but
even
I honestly
then,
think
I'm
weed
so
slows me down.
I'm
like
not productive on. If I smoke weed, then I'm like that. I'm not doing anything that day.
Well, I'm just like always
like,
smoking weed, so like if that's the case, but I always do get
what
like,
if I'm smoking weed, what I want to do is nothing.
Yeah.
Like I have to get myself to work
that's fucking incredible. I mean,
right?
honestly, like if they can pull themselves together and do that, are they all like sober now? Are they still partying? Are they dead? Like what's
they're sober now.
Where's the Mac now?
As far as I know, they're all sober now. Stevie Nicks said the last time she did blow was the 80s.
So it was still cocaine then.
Yeah.
My dad has a cool quote, like there hasn't been real cocaine in Vancouver since 1989. And it's cool because he did cocaine here until like 97. So he really did, like he tried to stick it out. For like a few years. I might have the dates wrong. Sorry, Dad. I love you. But for like I always love talking to guys that are clean, that are saying like or anybody for that matter, that have been sober for a long time.
Yeah.
That you really try to compare the times and shit, right? Because it's so undeniable that if you were partying and having fun, the 80s would have been the time to do it. Rock and roll is coming out, hip hop is starting to rear its head, like with like punk and hardcore or whatever that's happening at that same time. Like it's the 90s is the shit to me, like for pop culture and music and whatever, right? The 90s is the shit, but you need to come out of like, like the 70s hippie thing and go into all the bullshit of the 80s or whatever to get there. And I think that like it's really fucking cool when like an old person can sit you down and go like, you don't know shit, right? Because I'm of the mind where I had to, unfortunately, like I had to learn everything for myself.
Yeah.
I had the best advice growing up, and not just best advice. Fucking, you're hearing war stories from veterans.
Yeah.
Right? These fucking guys have been through the fire and they've done it. And the only thing my dad said was like, you have enough cocaine in you to never need it in your life. And I'm like, cool. That's a cool conversation to have with your 13-year-old son, Dad.
Yeah.
But like, then you find that shit or whatever. So you have to find for yourself and realize like that's not the shit. Like that's not the thing for me or whatever. But like I'm a learn the hard way. I go my own way.
Yeah. Well, I think it depends on your person. I mean, if that's in you, then it's
next
in
time
you.
I say
like
go my own way on this podcast and you don't go your own way, then I will leave this show now.
But I think I mean like similarly, my dad is sober as well. I don't think,
shout out to sober dads.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, Dad, but I don't, as far as I know, it was just alcohol with my dad. He never really was a cocaine user. As far as he might just not be telling about it. But like that being said, like you grow up and like my dad set the best example. Like he was sober and like and my parents were super cool growing up.
Yeah.
But like if that's in you, then it's in you. And like me, not my older brother, actually not at all, but me and my younger brother both like big partiers and like big. And so it's one of those. It's you know, if you're born with that, it's hard. You can't really get it. You have to get it out of your system.
We're born with that, like in my family, but we were born on such a. My dad, we were sitting at like Thanksgiving, or we were at a family dinner one time. My dad's just giggling, saying like what kind of babies we were, because my youngest sister Jackie, not this Jackie, my other younger sister Jackie, she comes and she says like you guys are all accidents or something, or like I'm the only one that was born like clean, right? And she said, like, we're all crack babies or something. It was the funniest way to see, like, an ex-drug user.
Yeah.
I don't know if I should. Yeah, fuck it. But he just kind of laughs and goes, well, no, like, you're not all crack babies. I was doing coke when I had Richie. So, like, my older brother was like, on coke. Johnny, crack baby, for sure. But when my sister Jen was born, I relapsed and went into heroin. And you're just sitting there, like, old... Like anytime that you talk to like a fucking real, you know what I mean? Like a real vet, somebody that's actually been clean, they're so open. Like I would love to do comedy at like an NA or like a fucking AA meeting or something, because these motherfuckers know. And that's the funniest thing that I've ever heard in my entire life, where my little sister's trying to like, you know, say something wild and my dad's like, oh, you have no fucking idea. You know what I mean? Right? Like it's so fucking wild. You know, to go through the fire and be able to talk about that on the other end, right? But at the same time, like, all my dad ever did was like nurture and like raise me into the person that like I'm supposed to be, right? Which was great. Like, so like through his drug use, the productive thing that he was like able to do was just kind of like push me in the right direction or whatever, to like I really dig the person that I am, right? My dad's the coolest motherfucker on earth, right? I love that guy. But that doesn't change the fact that he didn't record Fleetwood Mac's Rumours while he was on drugs.
That's so, I mean like to make
the proof is in the pudding.
To make
there.
Any album that's decent while you're all fucking like
have you tried to do anything? Have you tried to get pizza with everybody in the room on fucking drugs? Like it doesn't fucking happen, right? First of all,
who wants pizza?
I know it's a bad analogy, right?
But yeah, like, you can't. Nothing gets. You talk about doing a lot of shit, but nothing actually gets
I've sat
done.
around a coffee table until the fucking sun went up. Like I sat there on Friday and sat there until the sun went up on Wednesday, just trying to fucking solve the world's problems, and I feel like we accomplished nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The fact that you could get together, write and record what would go on to be like the I mean 7th out of 500 on fucking
one of the best albums of all time.
Whatever you could say, I'm sure
pretty remarkable.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
Okay, so finally, I want to talk about Stevie Nicks a bit, because she gets a lot of shit from a lot of people.
Who?
There's like sort of an opinion,
Incels and
a
Proud
popular
Boys?
opinion that she kind of brought in all of this drama and chaos into the band, and that she was just brought in because she was Lindsay's girlfriend, and she just, you know, created destruction and chaos. And like, yeah, people kind of shit on her for like her theatrics when she's performing. I mean, she has a lot of costume changes, and she's a performer, and a lot of people shit on her. And
she wrote one of the best fucking albums of all time.
Well, in my opinion, there's absolutely no denying the fact that before she came into Fleetwood Mac, they were a fucking fantastic band, but they weren't churning out hits.
I don't fucking know any Fleetwood Mac before that. If I'm speaking from my opinion, if Stevie Nicks is on this record, we're not talking about it today.
Yeah, there's like when she joined the band, they skyrocketed to fame, and all of a sudden Fleetwood Mac was a band that made fucking hits.
Sure.
Hit after hit. And obviously some of that is Lindsay as well. But you can't deny the impact that Stevie Nicks had on this band. And like all of their best known albums are from the era that she was in this band. And
that doesn't surprise me at all. Like this fucking band without her, it's no.
She's an incredible performer, an incredible songwriter.
The thought of listening to this band without her on it is weird to me. It'd be a different band.
Yeah, and so Stevie she's kind of known for like her like like gypsy, like witchy vibes. That's sort
I'm
of like
into that.
their persona. She puts
Hell
like she
yeah.
always has like scarves and like ribbons and beads tied around her mic stand and
She's
stuff.
got
when
Johnny
she's
Depp just hanging off her
performing.
fucking shirt.
Yeah. So, in that vein,
Okay.
we're gonna do a tarot card. Tarot. We're gonna do a tarot card reading.
How?
I have an app.
You have it? Oh, what?
Yeah, I'm gonna read your cards. I've
Okay.
never done this before.
I've never. Okay, well, I've never. One time I was around tarot cards. My brother's best friend Taz. Shout out to Taz. Hopefully he's listening to the show. He has an older sister, Shyla. That I think her name was Shyla. Anyway, she had tarot cards in her house, right? So at one time when I'm like a teenager or whatever, we're hanging out at this place. And there was just tarot cards sitting on like a coffee table.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, cool. You know, you see these on the thing. And I picked them up and I was like shuffling through them. And she told me that it's incredibly bad luck for you to ever touch anybody's tarot cards that aren't yours. And the reading that she gave to me was basically like bad luck for the rest of my life. Which if you look at my life,
Yeah.
it has to, unrelated. Totally
Yeah.
unrelated. I'm a big fan of personal responsibility, so I think that I fucked up a lot of the places that I actually fucked up. But if there's any truth to this, then all of my blunders could be traced back to like me as like a 16-year-old boy in an apartment that I shouldn't have been
Shuffling tarot cards.
I guess I don't know, but
Yeah.
oh no! If the
All
first
right.
one you pull is death, I'm out of here.
So this is it's a daily reading. So it's 3 cards we're gonna pull here.
Okay.
So the first one, I've never done this before. I don't know what I'm doing.
I don't. I'm trying to be open to things, right? I'm trying to be open to things like much like if it isn't punk, it sucks. Like I'm getting into Fleetwood Mac, right? I'm into tarot cards. I'm 30 now, motherfucker. Get into it.
Okay, the first card. How do you is swords?
I go.
Swords. You are moving from a time in which you feel trapped and victimized by your own thoughts and perceptions about yourself. You have recognized that your own beliefs may have been your greatest weaknesses.
Oh.
So the 3 things are self-acceptance, new perspective, and freedom. What do you think about that?
What did I just say 5 seconds ago? Okay. Lucky guess.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I try not to put a whole lot of stock into this thing because like it's like a horoscope to me. Like
Well,
if
yeah,
you,
but I mean, leaving all of those aside, what is this something that resonates with you?
I'm saying that like if when I read a horoscope page in a newspaper, I'm on the cusp, right? So I'm either like depending on what newspaper you read, I'm either like a Taurus or a Gemini.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
all bullshit to me.
Yeah.
So I'll go in like I'll put my finger over like I'll just cover up Sagittarius or like Aries or whatever, and I'll read that, and it's
Yeah.
like and it applies.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
Yeah, that's how they're
So-
designed.
Exactly. Right? So it's all kind of bullshit, right? So, but that one specifically
Yeah.
relating to what I just said moments ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to let go of a lot of my. I'm trying to keep the ideals and like my like who I am as a person, like what I believe to be true,
Yeah.
but also stop being such a fucking dick.
Yeah.
Right? The worst thing about punk rock is it's supposed to be like for the community, but it's also pretty fucking elitist and up its own ass.
Yeah.
Right? So like, yeah, I'm gonna enjoy some Fleetwood Mac and maybe like have a
Sure.
glass of Chianti maybe. I don't know. It's pretty fucked up.
Sure.
Yeah, pretty accurate.
I think when I read this, I think, yeah, you're moving forward from time. You felt trapped and victimized by your own thoughts and perceptions about
Maybe.
yourself. Because I feel like you get down like thinking about with these ideas you have about yourself that you think about yourself that no one else does.
Is that a thing?
That's what I see.
Oh
that.
yeah, I complained to you a lot about how I
No,
feel,
not
and
complain.
no,
No,
but like
no.
I would get nervous about it or whatever, right? So like if I'm
But I feel
venting
like
to
you
about
get really
something-
hard on yourself sometimes about
I get
things that you
extremely
think
hard
about
about it.
yourself that no one else
You don't
does.
think anybody thinks about that about the way that I think?
No
It's
one
pretty clear to me that I'm a failure and everybody else sees that in me as
No.
well. If that's not the case, then like and subscribe.
Yeah.
But there is just like I don't know what it is, but in my head I could always be doing better. I could always be doing more.
Well, I
and,
think
like,
that's a fine
think that-
perspective to have, but I think you don't need to be
to kick the shit out of myself
Yeah.
as much as I do and like invade your text with like
No, it's not that. I don't mind that.
Okay.
But I don't like you're so down on yourself sometimes.
I get down on myself. I just want to be the best at what I want to do.
Yeah, no,
So-
I mean, I get it. Like,
Okay,
I'm the
okay.
same way.
Okay. No, you're
All
right.
right.
Okay, extremely accurate, I guess.
Okay, card
Next
number
card.
2.
Fuck.
Feeling. Suffering and heartbreak stemming from loneliness, rejection, and betrayal. This card indicates a period of intense suffering. Moments like this are sometimes required in life in order to bring out the strength we never knew we had within us. Do you feel like you're in a period of intense suffering?
Well, Jackie, they call me Johnny Trauma for a reason. Isolation, loneliness, rejection. I mean, it's COVID time, right? So I don't think that's betrayal. I think that a lot of the self-suffering that I do isn't based on the fact that anybody's betrayed me, but the bad decisions that I've made that have negatively affected other people's lives. So I think that like I just want to be the best person that I can be, but living with all the mistakes you made before, you kind of have to move past that. And I think a lot of that goes back into like how hard I am, you know what I mean, on myself or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm not a bullshitter, right? I can't just be like, learn my lesson, going to be good next time, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm honestly conscious of all the mistakes I made before or whatever to kind of come up to now. So like that one hits the nail on the head again.
Yeah.
I've been heavily dealing with trauma since, like, I don't know, maybe not since like a when I was a kid. The circumstances were the circumstances, right?
Yeah.
You know, parents split up young, and so whatever it is it's weird, but that's the life that I lived, and I was very fortunate enough to have a family unit. You know what I mean, with like my uncles, my grandparents, and whatever that were like, you know, I'm okay regardless, right? So like I never really realized that might have been like traumatic until like after the fact.
Yeah.
But my friends started dying when I was really young. Right. So like dealing with like trauma from like 14, the last thing that I said to one of my best friends was like, fuck you. I didn't say anything to the police. And if you want to have a fucking problem about it, then we like, so I basically told my friend, like, let's fight. And then he fucking died that night. And you're like 14 years old. Right. And then at 15 that, you know, another friend of mine died. And like I've spoken at more funerals than I have. There was a point when we were doing stand-up that we got to like a certain number of shows that I was like, now I've done stand-up more times than I've spoken at funerals. And that's cool. You know what I mean? Right. So like there's some trauma in there. I'm dealing with some shit. Like, so there's, okay. Yeah. Tarot 2, Johnny 0.
All right.
Okay.
Last one.
We should read all the ones in the deck though, because I feel like I'm so fucking self-centered going back to the beginning of this episode that like I could make anything in here relate to my life.
Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to buy some tarot cards. So this can be a regular thing.
We're gonna get into it. I'm into the occult. Let's do it.
Okay. This one is about doing. So being at a crossroads, this is a moment when you must make a difficult choice. One path closes the other, and your decision is hanging in a perfect equilibrium and balance, making the choice ever more difficult. There is no clear winner, but to progress, one must take a stand.
This is fucking life, man.
Yeah, that one seems a bit.
Doing it well.
Yeah, that seems like
when you
any
said-
moment in life you have to make decisions. Yeah.
So then I'm gonna say fuck that, because that's just like, if you're gonna describe, you know, just life.
Do you feel like you're at a moment of like indecision, of making difficult choices?
No, I feel like I've done that before
Yeah.
already, right? Like I'm at a point
Yeah.
now where I'm just like happy with the decisions that I've made, and we're just like, I don't know, just do cool shit and have fun with your friends, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
We're on a ball floating through space.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, that one, I don't know. I just like
That one was whack. The first two, I was like, holy shit, I'm getting into tarot cards tomorrow.
Yeah. I understand. Obviously, I understand making difficult choices.
Of course.
But I guess I don't. I just believe that, like, as long as you
know that it's like either me or my grandparents, and it's gonna be me every time. Right? So like, as long as you're able, as long as you're capable enough to make that decision, then like it's fine. Like you're gonna, you know, one door is gonna close, the other one's gonna open, and that's, you know, that's the reason that I built this house.
Yeah, and I just like don't believe in going back and like second guessing decisions that you've made. I feel like everything, like you are where you are for a reason, and you're where you are now is where you're supposed to be.
So then, like I'm like a non-believer. I just don't care.
Yeah.
Right? Like I don't. waste my time thinking about things that like that don't matter, or that I can't that I can't manipulate and change, or if there's nothing that I can do.
Well, I think that's
like,
a healthy mindset to have, because that's something that I have to remind myself to do every day, is to let go of the shit that I can't control.
Sure.
Because that's the
absolutely.
shit that I obsess over the most. It's the stuff that I have no control over.
So like the healthy thing, I don't know, for yourself, just kind of to have a decent perspective on where you are in the world, and to know that the world isn't going to stop regardless of what you do, right? Like, we're pretty insignificant here, so all you can really do is try to make your time here as good as you can. So like in that sense, like I'm trying to have not like a new outlook on life, but one that I can just kind of agree with, because I think it's just like apathy is the problem for me a lot of times. It's just like, I don't care. It's a lot of times somebody will present me a problem that they're having in their life. And because of all the trauma and because of all the shit that I've been through, I'm looking at them and being like, oh, fuck, man. Like, you're making a mountain out of a molehill here. Like, this is kind of insignificant, and from my perspective, but you forget about the fact that like that's what this person is dealing with right now. And it's incredibly like, so the big thing that you can do is just like humbly pull your head out of your ass and have a conversation, right? Not just wait for your turn to talk, or like, oh, this is a cool, like, I fucking feel terrible sometimes in this podcast is that I'm just like, I'm gonna wait to to steer, or this thing that you just said relates to like a story that I have or whatever, right? So rather than having the conversation, it's just an opportunity for me to tell you another story about my life. You know what I mean, right? So like I think that is just like personal growth and doing whatever you can just to like be your better friend, be a better person, do all that shit, right? But that's exhausting because I just want to think about myself. So I think finding that balance.
I feel like I'm on like the opposite end of the spectrum, where it's like I care like too much about other people's
That's why we're a good band.
Problems.
It's
and
exhausting how much you give a shit about things you can't change.
I know, and about like other people. If like someone who I care about is upset and like comes to me to talk about it, then then I'm bummed out just knowing that someone who I love is like sad. Then it completely affects my mood. And so then I'm on the other end, where I have to try to put myself first more, and I can't like give my if someone comes to me with an issue that I instinctively am going to put all my energy into trying to solve, I have to like remind myself to be like, no, you you have to worry about you sometimes.
So like we draw a hard line down the sand here, and it's apathy and exhaustion. I think it has to do with those things. And to bring it
or
back
apathy
to
and
every
like
week,
empathy, like hyper empathy.
I was trying to hype up a Lawrence Arms album.
I'm sorry.
Listen to Lawrence Arms, apathy and exhaustion. But apathy and empathy, then for sure. I think that that hits the nail on it. I just try to disassociate as much as I can or whatever. I've just put so much in and lost. Do you know what I mean? Right? Like so many times, like I spent a long time of just like freaking out, and I have good friends and I have people that surround me that love me and stuff, and they're like, well, dude, what the fuck is the matter? And I'm looking at my friends, just telling them that I just miss my friends. Do you know what I mean? Right? Because like I really do, right? There's a lot of people that there are fucking guests that we could have on this podcast that would be so, you know what I mean, that would be hilarious, right? That didn't that could tell very wild stories, and they were only 16 years old or 17 years old. I mean, at that time or whatever, right? So I do get fucked up about that, but also then I have to remind myself is like, who else was I around at that time, and who of those motherfuckers am I even still talking to? You know, right? So like I like hold on to the past with some kind of like a different lens than I view the world now. You know, right? So it's kind of interesting, and I think like just being conscious about that, and like life is just about like moving on and just keep getting kicked in the dick.
Well, and just like making the most
it just gets better
of every day. That's and not like, I mean, I feel like when I was
holy shit, this went from like hacking and child porn to like fucking really positive. I'm into this.
Like when I was younger, I think the first person who I knew who died, I was like 10, and it was a good family friend of ours who was at our house the night before, and then he killed himself.
Oh shit.
Yeah, actually his name was Johnny. Which is so, I'm not fucking kidding you. That's so weird.
Well, serendipitous because tonight I got some plans of my own.
But like, and I was so young. And to not only when you're that young, to have to come to terms with death, but also have to come to terms with suicide.
Jesus.
And that I think made a bigger impact on me than I have ever like given it credit for. But
sure.
I think it taught me at a very young age that like life is like so fleeting, and the people in your life can be so fleeting too. And I feel like now I just, I just
Especially when
try
you're
my
young,
best
right?
to
You
like
just think
not
everything,
obsess,
yeah.
not spend so much time obsessing over shit that you have no control over, not
Yeah.
obsessing over the shit that makes you upset, just being present, having a good perspective where you recognize the things that matter and try and let go of the things that don't.
Fuck, we're growing up, huh?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
But
Let's talk about doing
given
coke.
7 miles of cocaine, maybe
Maybe that's what happens. Like if you did 3.5 and I did 3.5 and we just met at 7 miles of blow and we're like, I don't want to fucking go another 3.5.
Yeah,
Which is fun.
do we start 7 miles out and do like coming?
Doing a Lady in the Tramp, a 7-mile line of blow. That is the
Just
most.
our noses
That's
meet.
just the most
Aw.
fucking romantic thing that I've ever heard in my entire life. Yeah, I would like to do it, but like you have to meet in like that 7 miles has to like go up and over like ridiculous objects. It has to meet in an alley behind an Italian restaurant.
Yeah.
And we like come up to like the top of a garbage can and
Yeah.
and we just bump into each other. But at that point, when you're 3.5 miles into a line of blow, is it going to be love when we see each other? Is it going to be like, get the fuck away from me?
Or we're trying to snort it like out of each other's noses. We're like, where the fuck is the 3.5 miles left?
That would be really cool if you were having a heart attack at the time and like ambulances showed up and I was like, no. And he's like, oh, he's administering CPR and I'm just trying to snort coke out of your nose. That would be wild. Ladies and gentlemen.
Any final thoughts on the record? I have no idea this lasts like
My final
15
thoughts on the
minutes
record
really was all over
are
the
how
place.
much weight does it take to make 7-mile line of cocaine and how much money do I have in my bank account? I'm going to go ahead and say
I'm thinking
that's
about it
probably
too.
not possible. But on
Yeah.
the other side of that coin, Jackie, I love doing this show. I love our
Same.
friendship. This is so much fun. And getting to listen to an album that I've probably turned my nose up to a million times as a youngster. And you just kind of like open the doors for me to be like, hey, cool guy, you're not that cool. And like life is going to pass you by. So why not listen to, you know what I mean, everything?
Mm-hmm.
And I've had that attitude going into this show from the beginning, but like Rolling Stones Black and Blue, it gave me like a little bit of like, you know, a little bit of like a hill to stand on to be like,
Yeah.
no, I'm right. This is bullshit. Fuck that. But Fleetwood Mac Rumours, I cannot deny that this is like, it's a fantastic album. It's a
Yes.
fucking great work. The story behind it, now that you know that I'm here, has made it even cooler. And this is going to be the only album so far that you've brought in here that I will absolutely listen to again. Jimi Hendrix,
Right.
All Along the Watchtower, like there's some hits off that record that
Yeah.
I love, but this one, like front to back, I listen to music by the album, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, right? And I press play and do my thing, and it would be a joy to do this again.
Yeah, well,
So,
and this like vinyl record too. I just bought it for myself, but my dad has like 3 copies of it at home, and so this is the one that like when I like as
there's a
as soon
2004
as I
remaster.
knew,
Is this the is this a reprint?
no, I think this is the
Oh, the
original.
Spotify version has
But-
like some extra stuff on it.
Yeah, and well, I won't get into it, but there is a song that was left out of the original version that they finally brought back for the deluxe edition or
Well,
whatever.
we got a couple
that was
minutes
it.
here. Is it worthy of?
Yes, it's
Oh, no
called
shit.
Silver Springs. If you haven't heard it, fucking listen to it. It's a
Cool.
beautiful song, and it's written by Stevie Nicks, and it's a slower song. It's heartbreaking. It's so good. But they basically
Cool.
she's still sort of
To see
sort
we
of
just
is
got
a,
baggage.
is a little no, but I mean she's still a bit like upset that this song was cut off the album
Oh shit.
because I guess it was a slower song, and I guess
Yeah.
they felt like it was too many slow songs. They wanted the album to have a different sort of vibe to it.
It bangs, like it ebbs and
Yeah.
flows. There's definitely some heavy parts to it, and
Yeah.
there's some rockin' parts. But like I looked up the fucking the track. I'm sorry, I pressed play and I just listened to the
no
album, so I
worries.
don't know
Yeah.
the names of them. But
all
there are like, I mean, my God, there
Yeah.
are some that are like top 40s classic, or you know what I mean, right? The classics of so I could understand them trying to pull something that might, because there's 3 or 4
But-
songs on here that you know that do kind of go
Well, yeah,
down,
Songbird, which is just Christine at a piano, and they recorded that in a concert hall. So it's literally just her in a concert hall with a piano.
No audience.
It's a very
wow.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
But
cool.
anyways, but this song is
So I get that,
fucking,
but I also
but-
understand Stevie's being like, "Fuck
but
you! I
this-
made this record what it is. That song should be on the album."
And this song
Okay.
is a fucking masterpiece. And they like were trying to cut it. They wanted to cut out some verses to make it more like compact. And she was like, "Fuck no! Like you
Is it a
can't." She's
4
like,
or
"You
5
can't."
minute ballad or like what? What is it?
It's probably like 4 or 5 minutes.
Okay,
But she's like, "No, you can't fucking cut out part of my song because this is my story. This is like my heart, and you're just fucking cutting out verses. It makes no sense now."
Yeah, fucking A.
And so, and then she like wanted to put it on a solo album, and Mick Fleetwood would not let her, and that's actually why she left the band. It was like 89 or 90 when she left the band. It was because they wouldn't let her release this song on her own. But then it did eventually come out with the
What?
re-release. Yeah. Silver Springs.
Like
Fucking
20
listen to it.
years
It's
after
so-
this record comes out.
Not
she
20
needs
years.
to-
It was like 10 years.
Sorry, was this? Okay.
This is
Sorry.
77. But
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
she
okay. So
wanted,
sorry, but
but
like
this
15
but this
fucking years
song
later in
had
the
never
90s.
been, this like beautiful song she wrote had never been released, and so she wanted to release it on a solo record, and Mick Fleetwood wouldn't let her, so she left the band.
Hey, Mick Fleetwood, right here, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm stoked to listen to that song. Like,
Yeah,
after
it's
we record, we'll put it on.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Cool.
But yeah.
Honestly,
I-
overall,
yeah.
Jackie, this was
It's
like the fun part about the show is bringing in stuff that like, you know, maybe you won't like, maybe I
Mm-hmm.
won't like, or whatever. It's like having some you know, like a little bit of clash, you know, a little conflict is good
Mm-hmm.
for entertainment. But I got nothing but good things to say about this record. It was fun. It was
Well,
fun.
I'm glad you liked it.
I did a lot. Are we out?
Yeah.
Let's get the fuck out of here.